creativity and a hell of a lot of time. And of course, when I was stopped doing my own 4K work, I did what I usually do, and I took a few lessons from hip-hop culture. So, lesson 1, reinvent. A lot of mediums tend to imitate their predecessors. Photography imitated painting, film imitated photography, and now 4K might fall into the same trap by imitating film. So DJs actually broke this cycle. They looked at the current technology, which was the turntable, and thought of different ways to use it. So they thought of using it as an instrument, not just a playback machine. So I approached 4K in the same way, thinking, instead of just making our images bigger and clearer, what can we do with those 8 megapixels? And what can we do with this 50-foot screen that's different than what we usually see? In other ways, how can we repurpose the equipment we're already dealing with? Lesson 2, sample. I don't have a 4K camera. They're very expensive. Even the much talked about red camera is still outside my price range. So how can I get 4K images? What DJs do is they sample almost everything. When hip hop first started in the South Bronx, in New York, hip hop really revolved around the block party. And what DJs would do would they would take, they would need a sound system, a record collection, and power to throw a block party. So they would go to a corner, they would get their record collection, they'd call their friends up, they would string speakers like together like so many Christmas lights, and they would even sample the power. They would plug into street lamps, because they had seen construction workers do this to work on roads. And they would even sort of sample the power to do the system. So when I needed images to fill up this 4K screen, instead of trying to create them with equipment I didn't have, I thought, who can I steal this stuff from? Lesson 3, remix. Pretty soon on the corner of these block parties, it wasn't enough just to have a good record collection. DJs like Africa Bambaataa on the right there were known for having these amazing records from all over the world and these different sounds, and you would go to see him because you wanted to hear those sounds. But soon enough, another DJ would show up on the other corner, DJ Coolherc, and now he had his system going, and all of a sudden partygoers now moving to his party. But why? It's because what he did with the sounds was so new and different. It was how he approached it, how he mixed different sounds together. He would take samples from one record and overlay them on another. He would develop scratching techniques, new tricks to attract partygoers. So it's not just enough to grab a bunch of samples with 4K. It's how can you use these images? How can you develop your sort of mise-en-scene to change the normal cinematic experience and to get people to check this stuff out? So remix is very important. And as Sheldon was saying, he does very multimodal artwork, and 4K has the opportunity to sort of remix other art forms. An example I'll show you later, machinima, film, music, video games, all these mediums are remixed together to make new experiences. So again, lesson 3, remix is very, very important. So my own project was entitled Beatbox 360, and it's called that because it makes what I call a visual beat, which is a rhythm that's both visually on screen and musically through the audio. And it was also called that because the images and the sounds were taken from the Xbox 360 gaming system. So when I went back to those 3 hip-hop lessons, I thought of sort of reinventing and repurposing the 4K projector, this 8 megapixel canvas. And I thought, instead of trying to throw up one big image, I'm going to sample a lot of smaller, low resolution images, and by low resolution I mean HD, so we're not talking too low resolution. And I'm going to take those samples and remix them into a 4K canvas and make this sort of visual beat. So you can see here, this is sort of my capture station I set up. I have an Xbox 360 on the right, a computer monitor, controller, and then a computer I built on the left. You can see on the picture in the upper right here, we have the capture screen. I would basically hit record and sort of play the game and try to trigger sounds that I thought would be interesting and have images that were nice. And then with consumer technology software such as Adobe, CS3, this is stuff you guys can pick up in any store. I mean, Adobe you can pick up on the street for about 10 reales in some places. And you can do this. So I took these clips and I edited them down into samples. So, for example, here with the car, if the car had collided with the wall and made a crunch noise, I would take that crunch down to about 10 frames, take out those 10 frames and the audio that comes with it, and that would be one sample. So I collected about 97 samples from 27 games. And what's nice about the Xbox 360 is that it has network connectivity, so I didn't have to buy 27 games. I could just download demos and then grab my samples and delete it. So it's a very nice environment. On the editing side, I took these multiple samples and I took a 4K canvas in Adobe Premiere Pro, and I sort of used these HD samples to populate this canvas. And pretty soon it starts to fill up. And what's nice about this sort of method is that you can't be a passive viewer. When you're typically watching cinema, you sit in your seat, you look forward, and you just let the director's vision sort of wash over you. You don't have much control. In a format such as Beatbox 360, with these images strewn about the screen, you have to make active decisions on what your experience is going to be like. What do you want to pay attention to? How can I make you pay attention? Maybe I can't. So these are the kind of questions I wanted to deal with, sort of exploring the implications of 8 megapixels. And in this way, to not take the technology at face value. I want the art to speak for the technology, not the other way around. So some things to look for, I'll show the clip in a little bit. It's kind of like acai, it gives me energy when I hear it, so I could use it. So some things to look for are that sort of split images, what makes you look at one image or another, and pay attention to how sound and image are tied together. In a lot of sound art pieces, it's hard to see the relationship between sound and image. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it isn't, so pay attention to that as well. And if any of you are familiar with KRS-One, I had a few sort of homages embedded into a few tributes embedded into the clip to KRS-One's song South Bronx, because that's where hip hop originated. So look out for that if you're familiar. If we could play that, that would be great. So this is Beatbox 360.